Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mystic Recaps. Today we will be diving into the 2010 American action film Salt, so grab your popcorn and be ready for some spoilers. The movie starts with a maximum security prison in North Korea. CIA agent Evelyn Salt is being brutally interrogated in an attempt to extract a confession for her alleged espionage activities. Despite her insistence that she is there for purely business-related reasons, her captors refuse to believe her. Later, her colleague, Agent Ted, comes to her rescue by arranging a prisoner exchange. Salt is confused by this, as the usual protocol dictates that one life is not worth saving if it risks compromising the cover of many others. Ted agrees but explains that the CIA was forced into this decision by Salt's friend, Mike. Mike, upon learning of Salt's capture, had lobbied the Senate and State Department, putting the CIA in a difficult position with the potential for negative publicity. 2 years later, Salt and Mike are happily married, living together with a pet dog and Mike's beloved spiders as he is an arachnologist. Salt, for the time being, has returned to a desk job at the CIA. However, one afternoon, Agent Peabody approaches her for assistance in interrogating a Russian defector who has recently come in. Here it is mentioned that Salt is fluent in Russian as well. The defector, whose name is Orlov, takes note of Salt's wedding ring and comments that a husband must be a distraction for an agent. He goes on to reveal that he is suffering from cancer and that he used to work for the FSB, the Russian Federal Security Service. Orlov goes on to reveal that in 1975, a Russian patriot devised a plan to destroy America by stealing babies and training them from a young age to become the greatest spies the world has ever seen, instilling in them specific idiosyncrasies and ideologies. Once they were old enough, these warriors were sent to the United States as sleeper agents, waiting patiently for the day they would be activated to strike from within. The moment of reckoning is rapidly approaching. During the funeral of the American vice president, Agent KA-12 is tasked with assassinating the Russian president. The KA program is a Cold War legend, and the CIA agents are skeptical of Orlov's claims, dismissing them as mere fabrications. They end the interrogation abruptly. As Salt is preparing to leave, Orlov drops a bombshell. The name of KA-12 is Evelyn Salt. This revelation causes Salt to suspect that she is being set up, and she requests permission from Ted to contact Mike, citing Orlov's comment about her wedding ring. However, Mike does not answer. Peabody, in the interest of covering all possible angles, locks Salt in an office while they debate their next move. Meanwhile, a couple of agents attempt to move Orlov to a different location via the elevator, but Orlov takes them by surprise, using a knife concealed in his shoe to kill them both. He escapes the building. On the other hand, the CIA is so preoccupied with launching a manhunt that they fail to notice Salt's absence. Salt manages to take the emergency stairs and evade detection, but the agents soon realize this and begin locking all the doors. She uses a fire extinguisher to obscure the security cameras, and Ted calls her directly, warning her that this action makes her appear guilty. But Salt is undeterred. Her primary concern is finding her husband. She improvises a bomb by mixing cleaning supplies and uses it to incapacitate the tactical team sent after her. With a quick roll, she snatches a gun from one of her captors and uses it to shatter a nearby window. Escaping through the broken glass, she sprints several blocks before hailing a taxi. Desperate to reach Mike, she dials his number one last time, but to no avail. So, she destroys her SIM card. Salt then reflects on a past conversation with Ted, where he had instructed her to form a friendship with Mike. As a respected scientist with unrestricted access to the borders of North Korea, Mike served as the ideal cover for her mission at the time. Upon returning to her apartment, she finds evidence that suggests that he has been kidnapped. Without hesitation, Salt packs a bag with a gun and a spider and leaves through the window with her dog, just as the CIA arrives at her apartment. Agent Peabody is frustrated by the empty apartment, but Ted suggests that maybe Salt is telling the truth and is being set up. Meanwhile, Salt makes her way around the building and approaches her young neighbor, asking her to look after her dog while she is away. She also takes the opportunity to change into new clothes, while thoughts of Mike still cross her mind. In the past, she had frequented the museum solely to befriend him for the mission, but over time, she had grown genuinely interested in him. Following her escape from the building, Salt dons a hat in an attempt to evade detection, but her efforts prove futile as Ted spots her. A frenzied pursuit ensues, with Salt and her pursuers darting through the city streets. Ultimately, they corner her on the highway, where she pleads her innocence, insisting that someone is trying to frame her to divert attention from the true culprit. However, CIA seemed unconvinced, so Salt makes a desperate bid for freedom by leaping from the highway and landing on a passing truck. With the CIA and police hot on her heels, Salt continues to evade capture by jumping from truck to truck, narrowly avoiding gunfire from Peabody. But when a bullet grazes her hip, Salt is forced to continue on foot. Just as all seems lost, a biker appears on the road, and Salt seizes the opportunity to steal his bike, using it to speed away from the pursuing cars. As she makes her getaway, Peabody receives a message from his research team, revealing that Salt lost her parents as a child and was sent to Russia, which aligns with the story Orlov had shared. With her wound tended to and new clothes donned, Salt takes a moment to reflect on her relationship with Mike and the happy times they shared. She then boards a bus bound for New York, revisiting memories of the day she was freed from prison. As Salt arrives in New York, she checks into a luxury hotel under a false identity and steals a coat from a hanger. In her room, she removes her disguise, revealing that she is indeed a Russian sleeper agent and that Orlov's sudden appearance was part of the plan to inform her of her next objective. With a vast array of weapons at her disposal, Salt prepares for her mission by poisoning her bullets with venom from a spider. She also utilizes a computer to download maps of the subway system's tunnels, as she begins to plan the assassination of the Russian president. As she dyes her hair black, Salt reflects on the day she was accepted into the CIA and how easily she convinced everyone that she wanted to protect the USA. The following day, the streets are packed with people who have come to say goodbye to the vice president, and the CIA is on high alert for Salt. She takes the subway, but the station that should have stopped at the church is closed due to the funeral. Undeterred, Salt releases a smoke bomb in the train, using the confusion to jump out and make her way through the tunnels using the maps she had downloaded earlier. This allows her to enter the church undetected, fighting every guard in her path to making her way to the room directly underneath the church podium, where the Russian president is giving a speech. As Ted and Peabody receive word that they are losing guards, they investigate, but Salt is already several steps ahead. She plants a bomb on the roof of the room, causing the floor to collapse under the Russian president, sending him tumbling into the room below. Without hesitation, Salt swiftly executes the Russian president with her poisoned bullet, alerting Peabody to her whereabouts. To Peabody's shock, Salt willingly drops her weapon and allows the police to take her into custody. As she is led out of the building, Ted screams at her, devastated by her betrayal. The Russian president is declared dead on his way to the hospital, and as Salt is transported away in a police car, she reflects on her childhood in a training facility. As a child, she underwent extensive plastic surgery to alter her appearance and was given the new identity of Evelyn Salt, complete with an American backstory. As the police car approaches a bridge, Salt launches an attack on the officers, causing the vehicle to crash into other police cars. After causing as much damage as possible, Salt steers the car off the bridge and miraculously survives thanks to the airbags. In the confusion, Salt escapes unnoticed, stealing a hat from a nearby shop. Later, she takes a boat and can't help but think about the day she was brought back to America and taken in by a new family, waiting patiently for her next orders. As Salt reaches the harbor, she sees on television that anti-American protests are happening across Russia in response to what they see as an act of terrorism against their president. In a bar nearby, Salt reunites with Orlov, who refers to her as his perfect creation as he had always been the mastermind behind the Ka project. As Orlov scolds Salt for getting married, she explains that it was a necessary step in maintaining a normal appearance. To ensure Salt's loyalty to the Russian cause, Orlov takes her to his hideout and reveals that Mike is being held hostage in the water. Instead of shooting him, which would be easy for Salt to endure, they begin to slowly drown him to see if Salt will react. Despite her poker face, it is clear in her eyes how much it hurts her to be unable to do anything. Once they are satisfied that they can trust Salt, everyone welcomes her warmly, and Salt recognizes these men as other children who were trained with her. Orlov then takes her aside to explain the next step, seizing control of the country's atomic weapons. Salt will meet an agent in a NATO uniform on a plane, who will give her the final instructions. With all the information she needs, Salt makes a sudden turn of events. She grabs a bottle and uses it to quickly kill Orlov for ruining her life. She then grabs a bunch of grenades and guns to kill everyone in the base without hesitation. Unfortunately, her revenge does not taste sweet as she finds that Mike is already dead. Salt grieves for Mike. She remembers how happy she had been on her wedding day. Moments later, as Salt and Schneider arrive at Washington, the boy who said he would miss her. He has become a powerful colonel, and he will be taking Salt as his attaché to the White House, where they will have to assassinate the American president. As Salt and Schneider arrive at Washington, Salt disguises herself as a man to match the fake ID that S.H. Schneider has procured. They pass through White House security with ease and observe that the CIA is also in attendance at the meeting with the president. According to the plan, S.H. Schneider feigns insanity and pushes Salt away, before shooting at everyone in his path. The guards quickly escort the president to safety before the final explosion, and Ted informs his colleagues that he believes Salt may be nearby. Using the chaos created by S.H. Schneider, Salt steals a card key and discards her disguise. She sees the agents escorting the president to a bunker via elevator, and after they depart, she knocks out the guard and forces open the doors, descending the elevator shaft. The president and the agents reach the bunker, and Salt quickly sneaks into the corridor before the doors close, taking out any guards in her way. As Salt sabotages the panel that controls the doors and cameras, the team informs the president that intel has confirmed that Russia is preparing its missiles. The president orders the team to begin examining their nuclear options, and some agents venture out to investigate the malfunctioning doors, but Salt easily defeats them. The president contacts army leaders to acquire the authorization code for their nuclear weapons. As Salt approaches the White House, the security team takes notice, and Ted requests a weapon but is denied due to protocol surrounding the president's presence. Ted, revealing his true allegiances, takes the weapons by force and begins to kill everyone in the room. He reveals that he too is a Russian sleeper agent and offers to collaborate with the president, who refuses and is subsequently killed by Ted. As Salt finally makes her way inside, she finds the final door locked and must communicate with Ted through the intercoms. Ted explains that he never told her the truth because making friends is dangerous and she didn't recognize him because he was in a class ahead of hers. A new security team is already outside, trying to break down the door while Salt focuses on Ted's action, learning that he plans to launch nuclear missiles into the Middle East to incite those countries to attack the USA. Salt tells Ted that she wants to help him and be with him, but just as he is about to open the door, he sees something shocking on the news. The Russian president is alive and well, and his death had been attributed to temporary paralysis, which had been Salt's plan with the spider poison all along. As Ted realizes that Salt's loyalty to Russia wavered when she fell in love with Mike, he begins to explain that it was he who convinced Orlov to use Salt as the agent for the assassination. Orlov had initially been hesitant, knowing that Salt would not survive the mission and having grown fond of her. Ted also reveals that it was he who asked Orlov to take Mike hostage, causing Salt to become incensed with rage. She begins shooting at the bulletproof glass in an attempt to reach him, but to no avail. As Ted uses the president's hand to authorize the launch of missiles, Salt changes tactics and shoots at the wall, revealing the locking mechanism and gaining access to the office. The two engage in fierce hand-to-hand combat, with Ted initially overpowering Salt, but she manages to push him away and rushes to the desk to stop the launch. At that moment, the security team bursts in and knocks Salt to the floor with a shot, which she survives due to her bulletproof vest. Despite her arrest, Ted is still seen as innocent and the security cameras were off. As Peabody arrives to inspect the scene and learns of Orlov's involvement, he becomes confused about Salt's intentions. As the guards escort her out, she notices Ted taking a pair of scissors from the doctor treating his wounds and doesn't hesitate to act first. She uses the chains of her handcuffs to throw them around Ted's neck and jumps over the railing, killing him. Moments later, Salt is put on a helicopter with Peabody, who demands answers. Salt tells him about Ted and points out that she could have killed him and the president back in the church, but chose not to. Fueled by a burning desire for revenge, Salt is determined to eliminate all remaining sleeper agents. As Peabody observes her determination and receives confirmation that Salt has killed Orlov, he realizes that she is the only defense they have against moles. However, he knows that nobody will believe her story. With no other options, Peabody secretly releases her handcuffs, and as the helicopter flies above the river, Salt jumps out, and Peabody pretends to be taken by surprise. Peabody also orders the helicopter to search the area, but Salt has already escaped, swimming out of the river and disappearing into the forest. Later, news reports surface that the new president of the USA has traveled to Russia for a peacekeeping visit. During his speech, he announces that all sleeper agents, including Salt, are dead. It is also revealed that he was orphaned as a child during an accident in Russia, hinting that he may also be a sleeper agent. That is for today's video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. Until next time.